I want the young motherfuckers in here tonight, no matter what your nationality is. Turn the motherfucking TV off for 1 week and see if you can survive.
Dr. Alice Ann Holland, pediatric neuropsychologist at Children's Health, says the blue light in most electronics is particularly bad for sleep.
That blue wavelength is the most damaging in terms of its effects on the circadian rhythm. Exposure to blue light, especially in the evening, will prevent the body from releasing melatonin that would then trigger the sleep cycle to start.
People have to understand, are you using your device or is your device using you? Can you put it down? Can you turn it off?
Two of the most common that you see associated with sleep disruption are depression and bipolar disorder.
Digital dementia. This is a real medical term right now. This is the idea that we're outsourcing our brains to our smart devices. We're so reliant on our smartphones that our smartphones are making us stupid. I don't want to memorize 500 phone numbers, right? Nobody wants to do that, but we've lost the ability to memorize one. Like if I give you a 7-digit number now, how difficult? Would it be you find that kind of difficult to memorize, like a phone number that you used to do years ago?
That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information?
They did experiments on mice where they did the multitasking. They put flashing lights to mimic going from the computer to the cell phone, the computer to the cell phone to the TV. The mice that were exposed to the changing lights, it took them 3 times longer to solve a maze than the mice that weren't. And the damage was permanent. It didn't improve when they stopped the lights.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Parents have to intervene. We have to stop giving our kids free access to social media and phones at young ages. They are not ready for it. Their minds cannot cope with the dopamine.
Throughout human history, we have been dependent on machines to survive. Fate, it seems, is not without a sense of irony.
We've got to intervene as parents. But as companies, we now have to deal with the influx of kids that are coming into our companies with addiction. Watch, I see it all the time. Walk through any office. You'll see the older employees have their phones on the sides of their computers as they're working. You'll see the youngest employees have their phones face up in front of their keyboards between their arms as they're working. And this is how they work.
And according to a new survey from Mobile Iron, most don't want to stop texting or using social media at work. 60% of workers 18 through 34 say if their boss prevented them from using a mobile device to take care of personal tasks, they would quit.
Something you said keeps rattling around in my frontal lobe.
What's that?
Control the water, and you control everything.
Any employer that is looking to recruit this next generation workforce is absolutely going to have to understand these trends and is going to have to respond to them. Otherwise, they're going to lose the best employees of the future.
I think if I can control how they feel, I can control how they think.
You've obviously mastered this game.
Well, I've been playing it for many years, sir. I was here before the highway split this great valley. I watched the march of progress, and I learned a thing or two.
This is how my grandparents got their news. Now, they could assume that the media was unbiased because journalistic integrity was one of the most important things at their time. On top of this, it was considered a public service, and honestly, they just didn't have many ways of getting news.
Now, this is where a man might spend most of his time in the home of the 21st century. This console provides a summary of news relayed by satellite from all over the world. A telephone is this instrument here, a mock-up of a possible future telephone. This would be the mouthpiece. Now, if I want to see the people I'm talking with, I just turn the button and there they are. Over here, as I work on this screen, I can keep in touch with other rooms of the house through a closed-circuit television system. With equipment like this in the home of the future, we may not have to go to work. The work would come to us. In the 21st century, it may be that no home will be complete without a computerized communications console.
This is how my parents got their news. Increasingly, we started to move towards a more 24 hours type of news, which led to an increase in competition to be the trusted news source, but also decreased the time for fact-checking. And this is how today's generation gets their news.
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed. One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore.
Many news sources began to pick their spot along the liberal to conservative continuum, and the continuum of presenting complete facts all the way to complete information fabrication.
It's called television programming. They telling you visually to program. You're being programmed.
We naturally gravitate to information that confirms what our group already believes. So the media can profit by feeding us what we want to see. There's an incentive structure out there to keep us so polarized.
I'd like to call to order this secret conclave of America's media empires. We're here to come up with the next phony baloney crisis to put Americans back where they belong, in dark rooms, glued to their televisions, too terrified to skip the commercials.
You watch it on the news. It was on CNN. It's true. I seen it on Fox. It's real.
Should we ban parents from cheering on their children? Is it right to remove church pews to help the obese?
Is it really time to stop saying mums and dads? There is no place for headbands on babies.
It used to be news. Now it's opinions. Oh, glasses. We have 3 experts on the right, 3 on the left. Let's discuss. Ooh, light bulbs. We have 3 experts on the right. That's not news. That's opinions.
SpongeBob is talking a lot about global warming, and he's only looking at it from one point of view.
Is it selfish to use paddling pools?
They're trying to bring race into Ernie and Bert.
We're blighted by trans fish.
The global tyranny of the metric system.
Who knew that algebra was racist?
Can the Black Panther be played by a white guy?
How do I get pregnant?
Well, over and over and over. Cycle, 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 cycle.
It's bullshit.
At one time, we tolerated differing opinions in this country. We all had friends of friends that we didn't like, but we accepted them as part of our group. This is no longer the case.
This is what we're seeing in America today.
If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames.
When we only affiliate with the in-group and have no contact with the out-group, when the out-group becomes this sort of fictitious enemy that only does horrible things, I think one worry about the current media that we have, particularly social media and so on, is that we can wind up in these echo chambers where we're only talking to other members of our in-group.
Everybody's so busy wanting to be down with a gang. I'm a conservative, I'm liberal, I'm conservative. It's bullshit. Be a fucking person. Listen. Let it swirl around your head. Then form your opinion. No normal, decent person is one thing.
What if you could have a powerful computer like your smartphone inside your head? Scientists at Northwestern University say they are making a chip that would connect to your brain to the internet.
I think we ought to be paying attention to the dangers of ourselves being monitored, maybe even controlled. And finally, just as with our smartphones, we may come to rely on this technology and fail to develop our own abilities, our own character.
As I said, I am not spouting a conspiracy here. CNN and the New York Times, 2 of the most widely viewed and read publications in America, are literally telling you not to do your own research and think critically. Notice the language here. You, the individual, are contributing to misinformation by doing your own research and thinking for yourself.
The idea that you, the audience, should stop asking questions, turn off your f***ing brain, and chew through your $14 bag of corn like a good, obedient consumer.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about trouble and trending irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
So what a responsibility you all have to tell the truth, not just to be first, but to tell the truth. We live in a society now where it's just first. Who cares? Get it out there. We don't care who it hurts. We don't care who we destroy. We don't care if it's true. Just say it. Sell it.
For 70 years, Hydra has been secretly feeding crisis. And when history did not cooperate, history was changed.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts.
She told me everything. She had pictures, she had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying, there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. And I had it all 3 years ago.
And full disclosure, Disney is the parent company of ABC News.
Perhaps it's time you started to take the long view. Begin to appreciate the broad sweep of history. Look out there, son. You can almost see time passing.
You walk into this room at your own risk, because it leads to the future. Not a future that will be, but one that might be. This is not a new world. It is simply an extension of what began in the old one. It has patterned itself after every dictator who has ever planted the ripping imprint of a boot on the pages of history since the beginning of time. It has refinements, technological advances, and a more sophisticated approach to the destruction of human freedom. But like every one of the super-states that preceded it, it has one iron rule. Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace. Any state, any entity, any ideology that fails to recognize the worth, the dignity, the rights of man, that state is obsolete. A case to be filed under M for mankind.